Hi, my name is Nakisa Aschtiani. I work at Laguna Playhouse. I'm the Education and Community Outreach Program Coordinator. I'd like to welcome you all to this wonderful discussion we're going to have about mental health. The reason we're having this is because the next show that we have on our stage is William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. It goes up on November 17th through the 19th. We have 6 performances. We hope that you can join us. It has a lot of mental health themes relevant to the transitional age youth children, students, adults that we have between the ages of 15 to 25. Just to give you some facts about the play, it was written between 1594 and 1598. It does have 3 interlocking plots, and they all involve marriage. The first one is a planned marriage between the Duke Theseus, and an Amazonian queen. Her name is Hippolyta. The second one involves a mad scramble between 4 young lovers who fall in and out of love with each other in the depths of the forest. And the third involves the marriage between Titania and Oberon, 2 fairies who actually reside and rule over the forest of Athens. I have a wonderful group of people here with me today, and I would love it if they would introduce themselves. Let's just start with the people I can see on my screen going counterclockwise. To my left, I have Dane. Dane, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Dane and I'll be playing the role of Oberon in our production of Midsummer.
Wonderful. And next on my screen, I have Keya. Keya, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. My name is Keya Vance. I am a teaching artist with Laguna Playhouse. I'm also a screenwriting MFA student at Loyola Marymount.
That's wonderful. And next, I have Christina. Christina, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Christina. I am a teaching artist with Laguna Playhouse. I do some visual arts workshops and didn't plan the end of the sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. Taylor, can you go ahead and introduce yourself for us, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Taylor Bannert, and I am playing Egeus in the play.
Taylor's actually also he's pulling double duty. What else are you doing for us, Taylor?
Oh, I'm also the assistant director, and then
Wonderful.
kind of the music director too. So
Taylor wears many hats.
whatever they tell me to do. So
We love it. Thank you. We appreciate everything you're doing to help us.
you're welcome.
Juan, can you go ahead, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Juan Garcia. I'm an initial invasion combat veteran, so I'm retired military. I also am the Orange County and Veterans Military Families Mental Health and Wellness Suicide Prevention Chair for the county, as well as Orange County Resource Board community member, and the Orange County Older Adult Senior Veteran, as well as a few other committees in Orange County and some of the college campuses as well. So I basically oversee the mental health and wellness and suicide prevention in the county of Orange and Los Angeles.
That's incredible. Juan, I want to first thank you for your service protecting us, and then also for everything that you're doing to aid in mental health awareness. That's, as we all know, it's very important. Last but not least, we have Joe. Joe, go for it. He's muted.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting the talk, but hi, I'm Joe Honest. I'm the Director of Education and Outreach at Playhouse, and I'm just eavesdropping, but
No, I think you're having a little sound glitch. I don't know if you.
Great.
It sounded great to you. I had a weird echo, so I'm hoping that was. Was anyone else have an echo? Okay, so just.
No, it was really
Oh, it was
bad.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm inside in the
You should be an
grocery
actor.
store buying kid food for all the actors.
Oh, perfect. Thanks,
It sounds better now.
It's a lot better now. Now it's like
Okay.
clear. Yeah. I don't know what magically works. Magic. So going into our discussion, I just kind of want to say a little bit that the mental health theme that is addressed in this play, that will also be addressed and discussed in the accompanied mental health panel that we're doing today, is love and mental health. We want to talk about the state of being in romantic love. It often does have a significant impact on mental health of individuals, each person and as a whole in the relationship. For our transitional youth demographic, this is really relevant and impactful. And I know a lot of people feel these emotions probably for the first time, and trying to kind of navigate through this creates a lot of emotional highs and lows. And it's just everything all over the spectrum. So we're going to kind of explore some topics with the help of you wonderful people. And I kind of want to start with love, and love as a healthy relationship and how it makes you happy. We know it's not a cure-all for mental illness, but it is true that being in love and having a supportive spouse and a healthy, intimate relationship does promote happiness. Happy, stable relationships, whether with a spouse, a partner, a friend, all these kind of things really lower stress levels and decrease depression. And this is actually according to research. On the other hand, unfortunately, being in a bad relationship does worsen mental health. An unstable, unhealthy relationship with your partner, with your friend, it can increase stress, it can increase anxiety and depression. And unfortunately, as Juan can probably testify, it does increase thoughts of suicide. So my question to all of you is, how have you seen your mental health improve when you are in a loving relationship? Does somebody want to go first, or do you want me just to pick?
I can jump in.
Go ahead. Juan raised his hand.
So I guess full disclosure, I am on my second marriage. So my first marriage was definitely something that I wasn't prepared for. I went into my first marriage basically just looking for dependency, looking for security. I just didn't really understand too much about myself and what the whole component of love was. I was just looking for somebody to really kind of just make me feel wanted or secure, a place for me to feel just safe. With that being said, a lot of negativity, a lot of toxicity, and thus I thought that that's what love was. So that's what kind of really framed my relationship, and I kind of mirrored that from my parents. It just came from my parents, I guess. I just saw what happened in the household as a teen and as a child, and I thought that that was normal. To me, that was normal. It wasn't till then I got out of my marriage and got a divorce and that whole lengthy process, I then realized, whoa, I mean, my life has changed completely. I just feel so much better. I feel a little bit more balance in my life. Now on to my second marriage, I found a good common ground with somebody where I can completely be myself and be true to myself, as we say in therapy, speaking my truth. That being said, my new relationship, my new marriage that I'm in, it works so well. It works so cohesively. The communication is there. Being able to listen to the other person and then vice versa, where both play an important role in the household, and not only in the household, but in the relationship, has really just pushed my success to a whole different level. I don't think I would have been able to get through my master's degree from USC during the pandemic if it wasn't for my significant other. I literally contemplated divorce the entire time. And yet my significant other was like, no, hold on. You can get through this. You're almost there. I'm going to be here to support you no matter what. But my brain just was saying, no, 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 no. I want out. I want out. But that person being a positive influence really solidified my just the positivity where I was going. And that's where I am now. I own a whole new house. I own 2 properties. I'm an investor. I've done so much with my life, and it was because of the positive engagement, 100%.
Wow, that's really wonderful to hear. I'm so glad that you found someone that is so supportive and shares that common ground with you. That's amazing. And congratulations on your master's degree. That's a huge accomplishment. Anyone else want to answer the question about how mental health improves in a loving relationship?
I could jump in. I think kind of going off of what Juan was saying too, like I always think about how connected we are in our bodies, like we are mind, body, spirit. And so thinking about it's feels just like I guess when you experience, you feel how almost automatic it feels. It's interesting. I'm gonna put some context around the automatic thing, because I think there's something about a loving relationship that like reveals more about you and the other person. And it's like the great and not so great, but in the context of like the safety and security and love, there's a safety in seeing those parts that aren't so great, but also having room to have dialogue and communication, like Juan said, and like becoming better. So like I think it makes you a better listener. It's definitely humbles you. and it changes your perspective about the world. I think you kind of become more patient with yourself and with other people. It's literally like, I mean, the chemicals, like it's a different taste in your mouth. It's a different smell in your body, that flows from that place of love.
Yeah, I agree. I remember, so I'm a newlywed. My first anniversary is in December. We've been together for 8 years. And I remember when I first started dating my now husband, I was talking to my coworker at the time, and I said, this relationship feels easier. It was easier. And I was like, I don't feel frenetic in it. I felt like in my past ones, I felt just so on edge constantly. And I didn't realize that wasn't quote unquote normal and okay. It was just because I didn't know any different. Just like when Juan was saying, like he saw that example with his parents and mirrored it in his first marriage, So it's just something that's what I thought. I thought that was the norm because my previous relationship was like that. The other one was like that, and then until I had the one with my now husband, I didn't realize that this is, you get this calm, and it's just we just like to be with each other. We are homebodies. I like spending time with him. I enjoy it. He's to sound corny, he's my best friend. So yeah, I think for me the best way I describe it is that it's easy.
Yeah, it changes your palate. You
Yeah.
just have a different appetite.
Yeah, it's a nice palate. But before we move forward, I really want the audience to get some information on Dane and Taylor's characters in the show. Taylor, would you like to share a little bit about your character in A Midsummer Night's Dream for us?
Sure. I'm playing the character of Egeus, which is the father of Hermia. I have to think about that for a second. Not Helena, Hermia.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing. Which is one of the lovers of the four lovers, and well, I think he's more of an example of how not to be in a relationship. He's kind of he's definitely more of a relic, I guess, of the past. Hopefully, our culture, I think, has moved on from that kind of thing, where he's very much a patriarchal, sort of oppressive. He thinks of his daughter as his property, that he gets to tell her what to do and who she's gonna marry, and that's not something that we do anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I try to play it as as unlikable as possible, I guess. So
I'm sure there's something likable about your character.
no, there's not really. So
no, nothing at all. Okay.
no, not much. Well, I try to make him real, but not too evil or anything. But he thinks he's doing the right thing, so he thinks he's doing the best for her. So that can be something in relationships that where you may not, you may think you're doing the right thing and you're not. So I think that's where some of the trouble comes in.
Yeah. Dane, is your character a little kinder as far as the relationships go?
I would think maybe, but they're pretty similar in nature in terms of like how they're going about relationships. I think the difference is that his significant other, Titania, is sort of like similar. They're both often controlling each other in some way, or trying to manipulate each other into getting something they want. Yeah, so just for perspective, Oberon is the king of the fairies, so very authoritative and regal. And he very much cares about his perception, or others' perception of him. So he definitely changes depending on scenarios. Yeah, I think there is a little bit of a softer side to him, especially there's an instance where Oberon does cast a spell of sorts to trick Titania into falling in love with another. And he like finds out that he doesn't really like the fruits of that. He does this in order to gain something to distract her effectively. But I guess how I've been working on it with Joe is like he gets pretty soft and like a little jealous and starts to really fundamentally question why he acts a certain way. And then you can kind of see that as he comes back. I won't reveal too much, but in the end of the play, when he really understands like the value and what he has. So I wouldn't say so much better, but you can there's definitely an arc somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree. I think he does have a softer side. Not to spoil anything, but in the beginning, where he helps out or thinks he's helping out the one of the Athenians, by helping them connect. Let's just so we don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Right? I think so.
No, that's a great point. I didn't even think of that the way that he's sort of meddling with other affairs in order for like some sort of positive outcome. Yeah, so I guess I can't really expand
I
too
mean, I
much
can't
there.
think of what he would gain from that situation. Like,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the situation with Titania, his wife.
Almost like, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
a satisfaction of, helping there.
Well, thank you for giving us some insight on your characters. Let's see what else we've got for you guys. So the next topic we have is knowing that you're loved and feeling loved and being loved and how it promotes self-worth. We think that everyone should be able to find their own worth, outside of relationships and other people. However, being loved does add an extra level, an extra layer of self-worth, and knowing that someone loves you and that you matter to someone and you have value to someone, it could get devastating if you're gone or they're gone from your life, and it will have an effect on your mental well-being. I mean, some people really cherish those moments with this other person, and they're also cherished, and sometimes for whatever reason things don't continue for people. So here's the question: what are some signs and or instances that you've experienced where being in a romantic relationship either promoted or depleted your self-worth, and in correlation with your mental health? How did you recognize it as an unhealthy relationship? Christina, would you like to help out with that question?
I think that we already established some good anchors, I guess, in the last question about what it feels like when it's good. But I think a few of us have experienced when we're young, we don't always recognize what is a good relationship, and we think that unhealthy things are what love feels like. And it it's not even anything anyone's doing on purpose to hurt each other, but it can be really, really damaging for everyone if two people are entangled in unhealthy ways for each other. What was the question was, how does it feel?
What are some signs or instances where you've experienced either like the benefit or the thing that's depleted your self-worth and mental health in a relationship?
Mm-hmm. I think the things that you might notice, like Keya said, you'll feel it in your body. There might be a lot of fear, anxiety. Maybe you feel guilty about things that they thought you did wrong. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, misunderstandings make you feel really bad. You're always, kind of trying to give more than you're receiving to make it better. You might not feel understood. You might feel like you're always trying to explain yourself and they never quite see you or get it, or they still keep doing things to hurt you. So they must not understand, so you keep explaining yourself. You should feel seen, respected, important to your partner. This person should make you feel like you get to freely be the best, most authentic version of yourself. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to worry that you're going to say something wrong and they're going to get mad at you. They're going to try to understand you when you try to tell them things, even if you don't always get it right the first time.
Yeah.
But you should feel safe. You should feel happy. You should laugh a lot. You should do things that you enjoy and want to encourage each other to be the best version of yourselves. And I'm sure other people have more to add to that. So
that was wonderful. Anyone else would like to add to that? Dane, go ahead.
I'd love to touch on the how do you recognize an unhealthy relationship part. I think this one's really tough because it can be incredibly nuanced, especially when you consider if somebody has like a certain temperament, I guess that's an interesting way of putting it. Just like I think the word manipulative is thrown around a lot, but if somebody is acts a certain way with somebody, or like has certain tactics and they've been doing this for a while, i.e., maybe their whole life, this I think this can span across not just romantic relationships, but relationships with family. Um, I guess simply put, if someone's been away that makes somebody feel bad for a long time, they have a lot of practice. And the way that they can sort of mask that under like flattery and a couple other tactics can be really tricky, to the point where it's completely valid for somebody to seek out professional help for recognizing that. But I think like Christina was touching on, a really important thing to consider is after every interaction, whether that's in person, on the phone, like how do you come out of it feeling? Are you encouraged? Do you feel like supported? Like, or, quite the opposite. So if there's sort of like a trend and they're consistently making, and if you try to bring up that trend to said person and they kind of deny it or make it seem like it's kind of your fault and sort of flip the table, then I think there's some alarms should be set off there. But yeah, it can be really tricky, and it's really tough because some people stay in those relationships for an extensive period of time because they just have genuinely no idea. So yeah.
I think it's also really common to have a trauma bond where you form a very unhealthy attachment, and that's a word that sometimes refers to, oh, we went through a traumatic experience together, but it also refers to a type of almost like a Stockholm syndrome bonding, where the person who's hurting you also sometimes feeds little tidbits of things that are good, and you see this sort of glimmer of hope of like what it should be, and so you make excuses for them, even though, okay, yeah, they made me feel bad, but they had a really bad day, so that's why they were yelling and calling me names and whatever.
Right.
I forgot what else there was, but I think, your character, though, no, the way that you described your character, I'm not familiar with the play, full disclosure, but it sounded like a narcissistic personality. Someone who has to maintain this really good image, and it's all about that, and it's all about them, and they're not thinking about how necessarily maybe it affects other people, or maybe they are because they're trying to manipulate other people to maintain that illusion. And people might really love that illusion, and so it's hard to recognize if you're being glamored by some sort of narcissist fairy person or if that's what healthy relationships are, or whatever. So listen to your friends and family who maybe you are angry hearing them say, like, you don't seem happy. That might be another sign. If your friends and people who know you feel like you're not acting like yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to phrase it. Listen, 'cause the people on the outside, yeah, they're on the outside, but they know you, and they're saying something's not right. We need to work on this and try to figure out what's happening.
Yeah, especially if it's somebody who has nothing to gain in the situation.
Yeah.
It's funny when Christina was talking about that. That's exactly what came up for me, which was being in a relationship with a narcissist, or somebody with a personality disorder in general, in that cluster B group. It's hard to know the first time you've experienced this with somebody, because usually they're very charismatic too, and so they can be very fun and like just really, really exciting to be around. And then like you said, making excuses for the things that they do. You go, no, that's just temporary, or that you just make up excuses for it and kind of brush it under the rug. But yeah, it's hard to do it a second time once you've kind of learned. But some things that came up for me were like, being codependent, or maybe you're trying to do things for the other person that they can do for themselves, was the thing that I learned. Was if they can do it for themselves, or if I can do it for myself, I don't let other people do that for me. Versus being interdependent, where you're both, your own independent person, but you can, you work together on things. It's collaborative. There's healthy communication. Yeah. And loving. Yeah, I guess another thing that I thought of was like loving without attachment. where I know for me in the past I would get very attached to relationships. When they would end, I would be rather devastated. And so, I think that which mentioned a lot earlier was like using the relationship as something to fix you, like where it's like, oh, I felt like that fixed the deficits that I had, but years later, I've realized that I had to do work on myself and fix those things and be a complete person when I came to that relationship. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I think feeling like you know yourself and you love yourself. It's really like you hear it all the time. How are you going to love someone else if you don't love yourself? But genuinely, I think when we're younger, getting to know ourselves still, really eager for connection, it's easy to not recognize the signs of someone else and then not have that chance to learn who we are and what we need and what is healthy for us. So, starting with loving yourself, listening to people who know you. Shoot, there was something else Taylor said that made me think of something, but
It'll come to you.
we'll get there.
Well, so we kind of touched upon the next question, which was having a social support, the people on the outside, your friends, your family, the people who love and care about you. It also helps and benefits mental health. The benefits of relationships, it's not just romantic connections. It's about your social circle, your parents, your aunt, your uncle, your best friend, nieces, nephews, children, your friends' kids, people that are around you, your community that you've built up. It's better to have those people around you. It will improve your mental health. Like we were saying earlier, it's physically in you as well. So I believe that it'll help your well-being in that sense as well, not just your mental health, but your physical health. So the question on this one is, what are some of the key relationships in your life, other than the romantic ones, that have promoted your mental health?
I could take this one.
Go for it. Yeah.
I did actually write some of this down. My friendships come to my mind right away. I'm actually working on a script right now that blurs the line between platonic and romantic. Because in my experience, it's interesting because it's like you have to define for yourself what friendship is. The older I get, I'm 30, and the older I get, the more I learn like everybody just has a different definition of like what is friendship and what are our roles in friendship. And what I've learned with like my really close friends is like there's something about it that is intimate and romantic, and it doesn't always mean like cuddling. It's not always like a physical thing or a physical attraction, but like there's something about the vulnerability and transparency. So for me, this question makes me think about my friendships, my chosen family. And it's so incredibly hard to see yourself. Like these key relationships for me, like just see me well. And they remind me of like my song when I've forgotten it, because you're inside your body. It's like so hard to see yourself on multiple levels, which also means for the other person, it's hard to fully know somebody. But I think there's a lot of breadth in these key relationships. I think there's a lot of being, like you get the freedom to be and not necessarily perform and do and all those things. But I would also say mentorship. I've had I have some friends who are older than me, and like my close friends, and I think in some of those relationships it's funny for me because I learned about like a lot of my trauma through my friendships. Like there was a time where I was like, I prided myself on being a good friend, but then in my real good friendships, I was like, oh, actually, the deeper we get, the more I see I'm a runner. And so in my good friendships, I learned that I didn't have to run, and I was seen well and I was nurtured well. But that it's interesting as a form of mentorship there too.
Yeah.
And I'm also say I would also give one more key relationship for me personally is like spiritual leaders. Going back to where I started by saying we're mind, body, and spirit. So I do think there are some relationships in my life that have a spiritual platform in the ways that like it feeds me in a way that like therapy would, to be able to speak through certain things from a bit more of a maybe objective reality too. Um, yeah, those are some key relationships for me other than romantic.
Love it. I love it. Anyone else want to take that question?
Yeah, I can jump in real quick. For me, I guess it's just the relationship that I already just have with my parents. That really open communication. I think my dad calls me and my mom call both of them. They always end up calling me just to talk,
Yep.
just to check in, and vice versa. That constant communication every single day, and that back and forth of how are you doing, the
Mhm.
checking in, just the grounding at the end of every day, even if I had a really tough day. But now, not only that, just the relationship with my adopted kids that I have. We sit, we talk, and then even having my friends. I do have like a very, very small social circle. Um, but they're always there despite what's going on. And that's kind of sort of what then I just mirror or I resonate, in everything else that I do. It's just having that ground, that base work to basically work off of. And it just basically started from my parents. It's very complex when I say parents because my aunt and my uncle raised me. And then I have my biological father, which is who I talk to a majority of the time. But seeing all that really, just kind of like it's weird. It's very complex for one to be able to navigate. And there's probably going to be a lot of people out there that, they're not raised with their mother and their father, or they're with their father and they're not with their mother, or they're probably with an aunt and uncle. Somebody stepped up to take the plate. And that's kind of sort of how it worked for me, navigating all those types of different challenges. Then you have to kind of sort of find yourself. You have to find that equal balance. But at the end of the day, the communication the communication and the openness and the transparency and being able to talk to somebody other than yourself in the shower, but just being able to talk to somebody and be like, I've had a really, really rough day, and not keeping that in, because then that just kind of causes a snowball effect. And then you just put it out to the world and ends up coming back. And next thing you know, you're like, I had a horrible day. And you blame it on everybody else. When in truth, if you just talk to somebody like us
Mhm.
talking right now, after we get done with this, I'm going to be like, you know what? That felt really good. My
Yeah,
dad's gonna call me. He's gonna be like, "Hey, you want to talk?" I'll be like, "No, I think I talked more than enough today. Thank you, but how are you doing?"
exactly. Yeah, my parents are the same. They check in with me every day, whether it's a text just to be like, "Hey, how are you? Love you. How's your husband? How are the dogs?" Or, they pick up the phone just to say hi. They do the same thing, and it always makes me feel good. It's like, oh, and it's funny because like I forget that they're gonna do it because it's not the same time every day. It's just random. And every time, I see my mom or my dad pop up in a text, it makes me smile. Because I'm like, oh, they care. That's nice. It's very sweet. Anyone else want to take this question, or should we go to the next one? All right. Well, this next one is actually for Taylor and Dane. How do you see love and mental health explored through your characters? And also, what did you learn from playing these roles?
Hmm.
Taylor, you want to take it?
Taylor, it sounds like you've been volunteered.
Okay. Gosh. Well, I mean, I guess like I was saying before, is like my character, I kind of wants his own way, and he's not listening, to the loved one in his life. I don't know how he feels about the other people. I don't know where her mother is, but maybe she's not with us anymore. I don't know. But he yeah, I mean that's something important to always listen to the people in your life, and what their wants and needs are as well as your own. Um, I think I mean it's a very small part, so there's not a lot to go on, I think. But let me think about it for a few more minutes.
Let me ask you this. Do you
Okay.
think he's doing this out of love for her?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think he is. I don't I think but I think he thinks he knows what's best for her. And I mean I guess it's if it's in Shakespeare's time, they're probably like 12 years old or something. So, I mean, if that, I mean, gosh, if I mean, in modern times, if my 12-year-old told me that she wanted to run off and marry somebody, I'd be like, no, I think I know what's best for you. So, so yeah, I think it's, I think it's situational. I think and I mean, you have to know your child and what their maturity level is. Whether they're 20 or 30 or or 12. So I think it says more about the bond and the relationship between the two. So
Yeah. And I think you touched upon it earlier when you said that this is kind of what he knows. This is his society. And, he's just, and we mentioned it with relationships answering the questions, is sometimes you mirror what you know. And
yeah.
that's what it was at the time. Dad was like, all right, I'm going to pair you up with this person. And she decided that she didn't like that idea.
Yeah.
Dane, what about you? How do you see love and mental health explored through your character?
I'm starting, I guess, as of recently to see in more of a positive light on Oberon. I think previously it was kind of hard for me to see past the surface of what he was doing, or just more how he was acting, his mannerisms. But I think he demonstrates something that I think is just a foundational quality in a relationship, which is persistence. And like when it comes to he's meddling with the human relationships, he's trying to once he messes things up, he wants to make it right again, because there's a point where he could just sort of leave the chaos as it is because he has what he wants, but he goes back and he continues to work until everything is okay again. As he says, he's always looking for peace. He wants peace. He keeps wants to establish this peace, and I think that's kind of what I'd imagine gained his role as like king of the fairies, is because the peace of his people, so to speak, was most important to him. And he learns, although he has a bit of a rival with the humans, he starts to understand where they're coming from as he kind of watches them interact with each other and realize that the differences are pretty minuscule. And then once he has that realization, you see a lot of work on his part to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's also reflected, I think, perfectly in his relationship with Titania, is that there's a lot of mistakes being made on both sides. But they both have this persistence to overcome that and make amends again. Reestablish the peace within their chaotic relationship. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you got it. I think I find it admirable that he messed up and then wants to make it better, and not just fix that problem, but actually help improve people's lives by stepping in. I think, I like his character. I think he's cool, and you're doing a wonderful job with him. So thank you,
Thank you.
for that. And you, Taylor, as well. Shakespeare is not easy. And I think one of the challenges is to get an audience that's used to hearing the way we all speak, hear the way that he wrote it and understand it. I've seen people walk out of theaters and say, I understood that. I never understand Shakespeare, and I got it. And I think that's what you guys are doing when I was watching the rehearsals. So thank you for that. So this next question, Joe, are you with us? I kind of think you should answer this one. Joe's been married for over 20 years. Let's see, I know he's busy, but let's see if he can pop on. Joe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay. Hi, Joe. I think because
Hi.
you've been married forever, I want you to answer this one. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay. So this is, what does a healthy, loving relationship look like?
Oh, great. I think I think you touched on a lot of this earlier with where it's not codependent, where you're not saying the other person completes me, or like you're both whole people yourselves, and the other person just supports you and helps you be the best version of yourself. And whether they leave or not tomorrow, you are still a whole, complete person. And also finding a way to understand that love is a choice and an action, and not just something you stay in, and like staying with butterflies your whole life, that it takes work, and that you have to choose to love each other through the tough times, and choose to have difficult conversations and help each other grow and disagree, but still love each other through it. And it's not that, oh, we are losing that loving feeling, so let's just give up and divorce. I think it's showing that you support each other and are with each other and are not I saw a lot of my old friends, when they post a lot of things on like social media about how great their relationship is. Most of them have ended up ending pretty badly. And so I think not worrying about the outside world or the appearances you're putting off, but just really working on each other. And we were actually recent empty nesters. Our daughter just went off to college in New York. We're gonna go visit her next week, and and so we're really like we feel like we're retired people or something, or like focusing on ourselves. Like I can't buy family meals anymore, or things like that. Um, but um, but just like really understanding that, and we've been through a lot too. I've both been through a lot of challenges. Like I've been cheated on. I've cheated on people. I've been the other man. So I know like a lot of and I know that relationships can get past even that stuff. But you really have to make a choice to accept that your relationship is different after something like infidelity. Like you're not going to get that old relationship back, but you can build a new one. And it's like when you have a crack in the vase, the crack in the vase tells the story, but you can glue it even stronger than it was before. And so just really understanding that we're in it for the long haul, and I think our kids see that, hopefully, and and that they can model it in their own relationship. So we're really proud of that. And yeah, does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. It actually reminds me, I was watching a celebrity and they were interviewing her, and she had been with her partner for decades. And they were like, why didn't you two ever get married? And she said, I'm my own person, and I want to know that any moment I can walk out that door and not have to come back.
Right.
Juan's clapping. Yeah, and so I was like, and they're still together. It was Goldie Hawn that said it, and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how many decades she's been with Kurt Russell, and
Yeah.
but this was I think I saw this interview maybe 10, 15 years ago, and I was like, what a beautiful answer that that she's like, I know myself, we are confident, and we don't need to be married, and that's sometimes that happens. Sometimes you and your partner decide that marriage is not on your list, but it's on other
Right.
people's list. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
So speaking of whole independent people, self-love is a huge thing, right? I mean, there's that cliche of, you can't love anyone else unless you love yourself first. And there's truth in that statement. Sometimes the healthiest relationships between two people who rely on each other are also independent people, just like Joe was saying, that he and his wife aren't like completing each other. They're complete coming to the table.
This is what a healthy relationship looks like.
Taylor brought a wonderful example of a healthy relationship.
This is my love.
And what is your love's name?
Sunny.
Hi, Sunny.
Sorry, I picked him up from a nap. I'll put him back here. He's like, what are you doing?
I want to know more about Sunny.
Sunny and I have no boundaries.
No?
It's a terrible relationship. No boundaries.
How long
have very loving.
You been together?
7 years.
Wow, that's a long.
No, wait. He'll be 6 on Thanksgiving. So 6 years.
Is it 6 in cat years or 6 in human years?
6 in human years, yeah.
Well, thank
Sorry
you
to
for
interrupt.
sharing. Yeah. Same, yeah. So bringing Sunny into this is actually perfect. Is that part of your self-care routine to love an animal, and bring an animal?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, cats. They're you can't really force them to do anything. So I definitely have to love him without any attachment. Like when he feels like, coming and sitting by me, I feel like it's, if he wants to come sit on my lap, which is rare, once in a while he'll sit on my lap, and I'm like, wow, I am so blessed to have
Yeah.
this, him showing me love. So, yeah, I think it teaches you to love without attachment, to be reliable, with feeding and, observing, keeping an eye on him because he can't tell me if he's sick or not feeling well. So, paying attention to someone, outside of myself, I think is a, healthy thing in a relationship. So, yeah.
And also taking care of yourself. I know that a lot of people are a huge supporter of talking to someone, a therapist. People like
Mm-hmm.
Juan are in the world for a reason. It's different from talking to your friends when you talk to a professional. A professional can listen and help you progress. I think friends are there to listen and to make you feel loved, to make you feel matter, but I don't think they're always the professional in the situation. So it's always great to have people like Juan and therapists and psychologists to help you in that healing process and to improve your mental health. Juan, speaking of you, I was wondering, how do you take care of yourself while giving so much time and love and energy to others, whether it's, your spouse, the adopted children you mentioned earlier, and also the community that you help out so much?
So I think just going through my education, I was able to really learn the importance of self-care, the importance of being an individual, and just really recognizing that. I love to play guitar. I love working on cars. I love listening to music, and I love to read. Those things I keep to myself because most people, when they see that somebody that's completely tattooed and they have like this automatic stereotype, they automatically say, "There's no way you do that. Come on now, you're weaker." Especially if I'm military. Those are the things that I keep to myself, but that make me happy. But I've then just recently accepted it to be able to like share it with my community, not only on social media, but within the household. Those are the things that really ground me. And at the end of the day, just like on my reset button, just to sit in silence with myself, it's huge. At the end of the night, listening to white noise or listening to some type of like grounding exercise prior to like shutting down instead of watching TV or staring at my social media. Those things are the ones that really just put me back in my place, and then just set me up for success the next day. I have this schedule where I wake up super early, or at least I attempt to, to work out. I want to work out. I want to keep that consistently going because a lot of the times you still have a lot of stress on your shoulders. And it seems to be like a good kickstart for me in the morning. I work out, I get something accomplished before 8 o'clock in the morning, before I get to my office, and I just feel like perfect. I feel good. It's just like a good way for me to start my day. And that just resonates throughout the rest of the day. But then those days that I don't work out, I do feel a little bit slower. I do feel like, dang, man, I should have hit it today. And I'll be realistic with you. After this, I'm going to try to go to the gym. Am I going to do it? I really doubt it, but at least I'll see if I can try to like go for a walk or something, even though it's raining outside. But those are the things that really reset me. And they're really important for us.
I love it. Does anyone else have a routine like that motivates them, brings them a smile? Anyone have anything they want to share with the group and with the community?
It's definitely not a routine, but I want to just, agree and reaffirm that any creative private hobbies you have, I guess I didn't really explain because I was really distracted by a trash truck going on outside my house when I introduced myself. But what I do with the Playhouse is part of the Our Stories program, where we lead workshops that are mental health forward. And one of the coping strategies, or I guess the arena of coping strategies in which I work, is the visual arts. So if you like to draw in a sketchbook, if you like to take photos, creative photography, go on a walk, go outside, get some fresh air, take some pictures of interesting bugs and flowers that you see. Maybe the sky looks cool today. Maybe it's raining, whatever. Painting, could be gardening. I like taking care of my plants I do have a cat also, but I had plants first. So if you need to start taking care of something, if you're having a hard time taking care of yourself, sometimes taking care of something else, you can start really small. You can see your plant grew a new leaf and you'll just be so proud of it. And also making sure that you're taking care of your physical health too. Sometimes you're just kind of feeling bad and off and down. And you're like, wait, when's the last time I drank water? When's the last time I went outside? Have I exercised in the last few days? You know, so sometimes it's simple things that are easy to forget when you're down in the depths of it in your own head.
Yeah, I mean, there are days where, you know, I work early. I'm an early riser as well, and I work early in the morning, and then I'm just at my computer all day, and then the day goes, and I'm like, I didn't step outside. I didn't get any fresh air. I didn't drink any water, you know. So it's nice to find a way to remind yourself to do those things. And I also I'm a gardener as well. Like we have a nice front garden, and when I wake up in the morning, I look out the window and I'm like, those are my plants. Like I did this. I'm keeping them alive. So, Dane, did you want to say something? It looked like you were about to speak.
Yeah, I was thinking about it a little bit. I guess how to frame it. I think those activities are definitely wonderful, especially for me personally. I like building things. That's just kind of my big thing. I'm studying in their computer science department here at UCI. So it's my whole life just like staying up late night and just building something. I think creating is very important to me. But I also kind of want to emphasize that sometimes these things you know, things have an end to them. I think let's say if you consider like, you know, consulting a friend in a hard time, sometimes the people that are, you know, that matter the most to us can let us down because, you know, something's happening in their life and they didn't know how to frame it. Maybe they said something on accident, something that you said when you're being vulnerable kind of maybe triggered a feeling in them. I think in a similar light, I mean, that's not an ideal situation, but I think in a similar light, sometimes our activities, or I guess the things that maybe we do to, you know, take care of ourselves can, you know, there's an end to it. So, you know, I like going to sometimes like when I'm feeling low, I like going to this hole in the wall Mexican restaurant in Mission. It's like my little thing, just me. And that always makes me feel better, seemingly. But sometimes I'm going and there's just something on my heart and it's like, man, this taco is not as good. And, you know, or, you know, I guess it's a very simplistic example, but I think it was touched on earlier, but to me personally, faith is really important because it's like, I can love myself, but sometimes I will fall and I will fall short of doing so. My friends can love me, others can love me, my parents can love me, but sometimes they can let me down. And just having sort of, you know, a character in my life that can't, I guess, is very important to me because that stream just that's never cut. So I think that's kind of where I derive my strength and my ability to move forward is definitely a lot of faith there. But not to detract from those activities. Those can be amazing and like definitely very fulfilling. But just recognizing that different practices, you know, aren't the end all of patching up something going on. So I guess that's my.
I love it. I love it. Everyone's different, right? We each have something that makes us smile, that makes us get up in the morning, makes us get up really early in the morning to go to the gym. You know, and we have our friends like Taylor has that are animals. You know, I have 3 dogs and they make me so unbelievably happy. You know, all I have to do is just kind of cuddle with them. They're more cuddlers than Sunny, I feel, Taylor. I'm sorry. But
he likes hanging out with me, so that's okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So before we end this, I actually want to post some. I'll share my screen to show some links that will help people if they want to reach out for more information on mental health. Before I do that, actually, I just want to let everyone know that tickets for A Midsummer Night's Dream, where you can see Dane and Taylor do their thing on stage, along with a bunch of other wonderful actors that we have, are actually free for people aged 15 to 25. And as well for all the panelists here. So feel free to reach out if you would like some tickets. And let me share my screen. Let's see if I can do this without really royally messing up. Okay. All right. Do you guys see my
Yep.
screen with the
Yes.
thing? Okay. Is it obstructed for you? Because it's kind of obstructed.
No, I see the
Oh,
links.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just leave that on for a second while we just share some final thoughts. I just want to know what is the best advice you've gotten that you would like to share across the board in life? Somebody want to go first on that? Do you want me to go first? I'll go while you guys are thinking. So this was years and years ago. I was doing a play and I was performing in it, and my boyfriend at the time was also in it. And we end up breaking up. We're still friends to this day. Everything was fine. But it was a breakup and I was upset. And the director noticed and he calls me and he said, "Hey, I hope I'm not overstepping, but did you and so break up?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Are you sad?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "It's okay to be sad." And for me, that was the first time where I felt like I didn't have to pretend to be okay constantly. No matter where I went, I was always pretending to be okay because he was such a nice guy and everybody knew us together and knew us as friends, and we were friends with the same people, and I didn't want to seem like I wasn't taking it well. And that phone call really made me feel like, one, like I mattered, and two, like my feelings mattered. So that I cherish that, and that was probably 20 years ago, and I still remember it to this day. Does anyone else have some advice they'd like to share with the group?
I'll jump in.
Okay, perfect.
Oh yeah, I'm not muted. You made me think about permission. Those key moments that you feel like this gave me permission to X, fill in the blank. I think this is actually a really hard question, but I think whatever's for you is for you. These are things I didn't understand before. So things that are for you are for you, and I truly believe that. But also walk through life as if you have everything you already need. And that I'm still learning, but I get it more and more. Especially going into the industry, like a place I never really kind of wanted to go at all. And a lot of competition and a lot of like horror stories and all these things. I feel incredibly calm and confident and peaceful in who I am and where I'm at right now. I went through undergrad feeling like I had to pick the right major, I had to do the right things and all these things. And I just learned that, well, there was no right major, there was no perfect major and all those things, but just making do with what you have.
Love it. I love it. Should we end on that note, or does somebody have anything to share?
I wanted to throw in a comment a director made. And I think he's done some work at the Playhouse previously. I won't name names, but I don't know. I was doing a scene and he stopped the scene and he came up to me and took me aside. And he said, I don't know what prompted it, but he said to me, "Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for the audience. Do it for your scene partner." And I thought that was remarkable because
Oh yeah.
I guess like aside from just acting, if you think about it in a greater context, it's like don't do it anything. I mean, don't do it for yourself, don't do it for the world, but do it for each other is something that I hold very close to my heart. So yeah, I just want to throw that in there.
I love that. I think that's a perfect way to end it, unless anyone else has something they want to share. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for taking the time to do this. It is super important, as you all know, and hopefully you will come see the show and you guys can all meet all of us in person. So thank you all so much. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
the
everyone.
the Talkspace blog has some really good resources on some of the words that we talked about. I'm sorry, Nakisa, I know you asked, but like narcissism, codependency, setting boundaries. There's blog articles on all of that. So that was Talkspace. No, wait, hold on. StraightTalkCounseling.org blog posts. If you wanted to look into anything else.
Can you say it again? Say it again so we have it.
The StraightTalkCounseling.org, which is one of the links that you did show us. I don't know if there's going to be any like distributed links, but that was one of the ones that we pulled for this, and has a lot of good you feel like you wanted to dig into anything more.
Perfect.
Also,
Perfect. I'm glad it's on the list then.
It's on the list, and
Okay.
I used it, and
Yeah.
I wrote notes, and then I didn't use them, and then I forgot to mention it until we already had that lovely send off. So
Wonderful. I'm glad. Hopefully, people join us and they go to those links. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah. Good to
Bye.
meet you.
take care.